Hey, how's it going guys? Welcome back for another TOS video. So this is finally Q&A session for July, right? So I know that it's already August, so usually when people are confused like why is the title July, right? Basically it's just the questions collected during the month of July, right? So basically I might upload videos like this a bit later, right? Hence it's gonna be uploaded in the following month, right? So anyways, this Q&A we have a bunch of questions, be it TOS related or non-TOS related, right? So and there is a couple of them, so I'm gonna go slightly faster than usual, right? Hoping to cover more questions in return, right? So let's get started. Alright, so the first question comes from Darren asking, what do you think about the TOS Malaysia event, right? MY Malaysia 2018 event. Any thoughts and feedback for it, or even maybe things that can be improved in the future, right? So one thing to note that I'm not really like the planning committee or any sort for this event, right? So basically I'm just like one of the players that got invited over just to participate in the event, right? So fortunately I was the co-host for the English exclusive event. Alright, so anyways, I was there, I saw the entire thing, I saw the whole event flow and stuff like that. Right, so overall I feel that it is quite it was quite an interactive event with the staff and the players. But overall I find that maybe they could have put like 2 items in, right, just to make things a bit more engaging and stuff like that. Right, one of it is probably like maybe like some sort of PvP match, because I see that during this event most of the time it's just players within their own table or their own group, right, interacting with each other and competing with the rest, right? But the thing is, like, they don't really interact out, you know, kind of like with players that are not within their group. So it's good if you think about it, like if you have some sort of PvP match, you kind of send one representative from the group to challenge other groups, and you can have some sort of like the dark tournament kind of setup, right? Like you fight 1 versus 1, and then who ends up as the champion kind of thing. Some sort of mini game, you know what I mean? So it's more interactive among all the groups instead of just within your group. Right, so another thing is probably at the end of the entire event, Terry or maybe Madhead staff can actually do like a Q&A session as what I've been doing with you guys, right, at the end of every month. Right, so at the end of the event, probably like do a Q&A session or whatever, you know, players have any doubts or any questions to ask, they can, you know, kind of give feedback, and at the same time it's kind of a engaging session with the staff as well as with the players, right? So I find that this is one of the more important one, right? The PvP one, if you don't have it, is fine, right? But this Q&A with the staff, right, makes it more engaging, and it makes, you know, the players at least feel that they care, you know, for the staff cares for their opinion and stuff like that, right? So maybe during the Q&A we can ask things like what are we going to expect for the upcoming patch, or, you know, some things that can be reviewed, right? Obviously they can't review everything, but, you know, some Madhead can give like some sort of hype to players, you know, just to, you know, wait it out for the next patch and stuff like that, right? So I can understand why they might not have added this section in, right? This section in, right? Maybe they are afraid of like maybe stupid questions like, hey, I've drawn like don't know how many times and I have not gotten this card and that card, you know. There tend to be players like this, right? So which is why they probably did not include this entire Q&A session because of that, right? But anyway, it's a very engaging, you know, the part activity within this entire event, right? So hopefully they have it in the upcoming in the future, you know, meet and greet sessions. Okay, so speaking about meet and greet, right, we have Tashuku Shion asking, will I do a meetup for TOS players in Singapore if I have the chance to do it, right? In fact, this is one of the things that I've been considering, right? So the thing is, it's not that hard to plan it, right? So I do have like in mind, right? For those Singapore players out there, right, leave a comment below, right, and let me know whether you are keen to do this in the first place, right? So there's no point in me trying to organize something and nobody, you know, kind of like turns up and stuff like that, right? So what I've planned is maybe like one day on a Friday and stuff like that, right? Is ultimate stage, is nightmare stage and whatever, right? Players can actually gather at one location, right? And then, you know, kind of just attempt the stage together, exchange strategies and tactics and to how to clear the stage and stuff like that. But I find that it's a very engaging session, right? To kind of meet players in person, right? Of course, I'll be meeting you guys as well. I'll be there, and we can actually just, you know, exchange informations or maybe feedbacks, right? I would like to hear feedbacks from you guys as well, right? So as I'm kind of like liaising with some MadHit staff, I can actually, you know, do some feedback. You know, I'll be the middle person, right? So any good feedbacks, I'll actually pass it on to the MadHit staff, and then we will see what they can do for the game in the future, right? So of course, this is gonna be a two-side thing, right? So let me know whether you guys are interested in doing such a meetup, right? Of course, it doesn't have to be like some super fancy place, right? Just a conducive place for players to meet up and, you know, challenge the ultimate stage and stuff like that, right? That would be cool, right? So let's move on to the next question. Alright, so next question is by Natty asking, do you think TOS should stop the collaboration stuff, right? I know the stuff in the collab series is good, but when other countries, even Japan where the original series is created, can't access the event. And talk about this, remember the Disney collab, they have 72 Demons series to be part of the to be a part for other countries that can't access the collaboration. But since KOF is KOF exclusive? Okay, never mind, right? But since KOF, Hunter x Hunter, and now they never released anything for them at all, right? So I think back then when there was a Disney series, right, that was basically their first exclusive collaborations, right? So I think at that point of time they were kind of afraid that non-Disney countries, right, will kind of like miss out the stuff and stuff like that. So they kind of make like a alternate series, which is pretty much the same card, right, just different artwork and stuff like that, which is the 72 Demons, right? And with that, I find that it's actually a really good idea, right? So basically, you're just getting the same cards but different artwork, right? But because of the restriction, they have to, you know, come out with a new series just to be the counterpart of the Disney, right? But after that, we have King of Fighters, Hunter x Hunter, and YuYu Hakusho, right, which is basically VPN lock, right, region lock, and then they didn't players outside the region, right, basically can't access the contents at all. But notice that one thing is that MadHit have never ever released a notice saying that players that are, you know, kind of entering the region through VPN and things will get banned, right? There is no such thing, right? Meaning that MadHit do not care about the VPN stuff, right? So I understand that some players complain that VPN, like they don't bother with VPN stuff like that. But the thing is, there is an option for you to access these contents, right? And that meaning you have to use VPN, right? And VPN, there are certain apps that are given free, right? Which means that you can just simply download the VPN, access, you know, use the VPN for selected countries which are in the collaboration, and then there you have it. You have this collaboration going on in your TOS, even if you are outside the region, right? So basically, you do have you know, methods in which you still can get these contents, right? But it's just more complicated and stuff like that, right? It's not that MadHit don't give a shit and stuff like that. Is, you know, KOF, Hunter x Hunter, all these, they have very like strict rules, right? It's not just that MadHit purposely make it restricted within these countries, right? Sometimes it's just the agreement made between the two companies, right? Which is MadHit and, you know, the King of Fighter, which is SNK, I think, and Hunter x Hunter and YuYu Hakusho's, you know, company and stuff like that, right? So they have no choice but to restrict the contents within the, you know, within these few countries, but they didn't restrict players outside the region to use VPN, right? So I'm here to declare, right, that VPN is completely safe, and just use it to get the contents, right? You won't get banned, trust me, right? So with that, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so next question is by Everett, asking a more non-TOS related stuff, right? Asking, how do you cope with in real life stress? Right, for me, I've been having a hectic month of assignment and projects and it's not coping well. But my gaming addiction is a source of stress relief and is hindering my already slow progress. Right, I find no motivation in my course of study because I hate it and I suck at it. Being a slow learner helps nothing. So any forms of stress relief you can recommend. Right, so when it comes to this, right, as I read this question, right, reminds me of myself back in my polytechnic days, which is my tertiary studies, right. So I was basically experienced the same thing, right, as you, but I was in a course that I enjoy. So maybe that's the more the difference, right. But nonetheless, you are in this course, you are in it already, right. So as when you're in this course of study, just maybe clear it, and then after you graduate with the cert, and then after that you can decide, or maybe if you already have a mindset of what you're gonna do after this, right, that's even better, right. So but nonetheless, it is your course have already started, right. So of course try your best to just complete it, be it you like it or not, right. So you're not coping well with assignment and stuff like that. That's very normal, right. So for me, back then I was playing TOS, I was having your hectic month of assignment and stuff like that, and projects as well. And back then I was in the swimming team as well, right. So basically I have to juggle like 3 things, right. It was pretty difficult for me as well, right. So stress relief, of course, your phone games and stuff like that, TOS, all this, or doesn't have to be TOS, right? Phone games in general, right, are supposed to be a form of stress relief, right? But I understand that some people play TOS like passionately, right? So that it becomes a form of stress as well, like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to clear this, I have to clear that, I have to draw everything, I need to complete everything, kind of like a perfectionist kind of thing. It becomes like a stress factor for you as well, right? So the thing is, studies come first, right? So if that's the case, I suggest you take a break off the game, right? Although you're saying that gaming addiction is a thing, it is also like a way for you to break off, since you're busy, right? The thing about addiction is you have nothing to do but to focus on the game, right? But since you're so busy on your schoolwork and stuff, I suggest you just focus on school, right? And then for stress relief, maybe like do a sports and stuff like that, right? Swimming is a very good stress relief in my opinion, right? So maybe like do some sports that will pretty much like clear your mind, make you able to sleep well at night, right? I find that very useful, right? Like you go and do some sports, you come back, kind of like you exhaust yourself, right? So you'll be able to sleep better, and then you perform better the next day, and and it goes on and on, right? So the thing about TOS, right? If you're stressing about like TOS and stuff like that, right? Don't worry, right? It's by experience, right? You can see that yes, you might have missed a few series when you take a break from TOS, but notice that once you come back, the series that you have missed isn't relevant at all, right? You probably have new series that comes out, and then that's gonna be the meta series, and yeah, every series is gonna get replaced by newer series. So what you have missed isn't relevant at all, right? Let's take a very good example, like King of Fighters, right? When King of Fighters came out, they are super strong, right? Where is King of Fighters now, right? Still usable, but they are not, the kind of a staple team. They're not like a 100% clear every stage kind of team anymore, right? So just want you to understand that everything in life comes first, right? Especially studies, because that's your your long investment in life, right? So of course, have a good mindset of what you want to do in the future, right? And of course, do things one by one, right? Like people stress with their deadlines and stuff like that, right? But everything is planned out in a straight line, right? Settle those that are due first, and then you can do the rest later, right? It's all about time management and planning, right? Good luck to you. Alright, so moving on to the next question is by Nicholas Chen asking, can you predict what's the new leader and active skill for VR Babylonians? Right, so this is not a surprise to everybody really. Everybody expect VR Babylons to be, you know, the next virtual rebirth kind of thing. I think they kind of like mentioned it already, so it's official. Right, so basically what looking at the past few virtual rebirths, right? So this is kind of like my prediction. Hopefully it's not real, it's not true, because I find that it's gonna be like okay, it's gonna be strong for a while and then it's gonna fall off meta again. Right, not gonna be like VR Greek, which is, you know, a very good virtual rebirth. Right, so basically VR Babylonians leader skill, right? Let's talk about leader skill. Definitely an increase in multiplier, right? That's for sure. Right, so I want to see something that is skill based, right, and not just a base multiplier. Right, so I can't remember the multiplier from Babylonians really. Let's take it for example, it is 3. Right, so after virtual rebirth make it 4. Right, this is just, you know, like just fake values, right? I'm just saying that they should increase the multiplier, and on top of that they should have like a conditional multiplier, you know what I mean? Like for example, a base multiplier times 4, and then after that, if you dissolve X amount of rune stones and above, team attack times, you know, maybe 1.5 additionally, kind of thing. Right, so you have a base multiplier and a conditional multiplier, so that it's more skill based. So if you kind of fulfill that condition, you do more damage, right? So that's more fulfilling kind of thing. So because Babylonians rely on sky drop, right? So probably make it like, if you dissolve what, 25 or 30 runes within that turn, team attack times 1.5, right? That makes things better, right? So when it comes to you really feel like you want to spin almost the whole board, plus sky drop that hits the condition and that makes you deal more damage, right? And then when it comes to 2-second movement time, you won't be able to spin that many combos, right? Hence you might not hit that additional multiplier. You will make use of Babylonian's active skill, which extends rune movement time, right? So you can see there's a synergy between the active skill and the leader skill, right? So that makes sense, right? So hopefully they kind of do that for the leader skill, right? On top of that, based on the past few, you know, trends, right, of virtual rebirth, they might just give VR Babylonians a sky drop god runes, right? So I'm not a fan of god runes, because it's basically buffing, you know, the leader ally Babylonians, right? Unless you're running gods in between as well, right? I'm not a fan of that, but they're probably gonna do that, right? So this is my prediction, right? So for active skill, probably just an increase in multiplier as well, right? I might think the divergent version of Babylonians might just have one turn of Babylon skill, probably, right? Something like Beelzebub and Mastima, right? So you have this for one turn you do like a column and then it sky drops, right? So usually divergent Babylonians, right, are usually placed as a member, right? Divergent cards in general, right, are just a member card. So maybe just to differentiate the active skill of Beelzebub and Inanna, for example, right? Maybe Inanna does a convert, like a small convert, plus the column dissolve and sky drop, right? So that's probably gonna be their divergent active skill and stuff like that, right? Hopefully they might do something better, right? So this is what I can come up with, right? But in general, hopefully they do come up with something more awesome, right? So let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question is by Tyron Lim asking, what is your favorite card in terms of number 1, artwork, 2, active skill, 3, uniqueness, and usability? Right, so I've seen this question and I went back to think for a bit, right? So basically, I would say people will probably know my answer to number 1 anyways, right? It's definitely going to be the Enchantress Cassandra, right? So one of the best artwork, right? So even with the outfit, right, and then ongoing joint operation, that is one of the best outfit for Cassandra. Alright, so active skill number 2, I would just include all the Enchantress, right? Not just Cassandra, right? Number 2, I will give it to the Enchantress, right? Why? Because these 3 Enchantress has been out since TOS version like 5 or 6, right? That is a very, very old version of TOS, and until now, they are still relevant, right? So note that they have not gotten like a VR or anything, just their PR form is good enough for them to sustain throughout every single meta that has been changing in TOS, right? So I find that this is a very well-made series, and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be a very, they're gonna go far, right, in this game, right? Unless the TOS kind of like introduce a brand new Enchantress series which overthrows this Enchantress, then that's gonna be too bad, right? But these 3 Enchantress, right, Cassandra, Circe, and Medea, they are very, very, they are like core cards, right? Be it like in most teams, right? As long as it is they are available within the team, right, in terms of race or attributes and whatever, they are in, right? Just throw them in and it will work fine, right? So this is definitely a big, you know, a champion for in terms of active skill, right? So uniqueness and usability, probably I'm gonna give it to Gon from the Hunter x Hunter series, right? Because that card literally have one of the most active skill, right? Most active skill in one big, you know, his EP10 skill, right? So you can ignore defense, you can do a giant burst, you can increase your attack and recovery, you can do a snipe damage, and you can clear the board, right? So basically everything in one. You have Egyptian skill in there, you have a snipe skill, right, from whatever sniping cards you have. You can do a gigantic burst, right, that is always welcome, and it ignores defense, right, so that's like one of the more, you know, crucial. Basically that card can just bypass every single thing in TOS, maybe with the exception of overheal, right? So that's a very big counter, right? I would say it's very worth it, right? Gon, this card can basically counter everything except overheal shield, right? So in terms of uniqueness and usability, Gon #1. Right, so next question. Alright, so next question. Aaron, what do you think about the news about the version 16.0, and what are your views on YuYu Hakusho cards? And when will Keith be live streaming with you? Want to see his epic falls again on my channel. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about version 16.0. Right, so as you guys probably already know, right, version 16.0 is going to be out officially on 20th of August. Alright, so that's when we have brand new contents, and I'm going to be super busy on my channel once again. Alright, so I think this is going to be a big one because we have new series, we have new Virtual Rebirth, we have brand new Age of Black Iron series, and we have the 10th seal. Right, so this is one, you know, giant mega patch that is coming in for this game. Right, I'm super excited about it. Right, and I can't wait to do live streams and you know, feature all these new cards and stage with you guys. Right, and let's talk about the YuYu Hakusho cards. Right, so because a lot of people tend to kind of like compare this with the Hunter x Hunter series, right? In my opinion, I feel that YuYu Hakusho, this series isn't gonna be very long lasting in my opinion, right? Maybe Kurama will, right? Because he's an elf, and elf, you know, we have very little variety of elf, right? Especially he's an offensive elf with high healing capability, so he might stay in the meta, right? As for Hiei and Yusuke, right, they probably will get, you know, overcome by future stronger future cards, right? So in my opinion, I think that they are not gonna be that, they are not gonna last long in the meta for now, right? So we'll see how that will play out, right, in the future, right? And then for Keith, right, I think a lot of people has been asking about Keith because he have not been appearing on the channel for quite a while, right? So the reason being, he's super busy with his school and stuff, right? I think because it's like one of his the busy period of his school, right? Hence he's busy with his assignments / projects and you know, whatever he's doing right now, right? Hence he didn't have the time to, you know, come over and live stream with me, or even live stream for the official TOS page, right? But he also have other plans to live stream on his page solo, right? In which I strongly encourage him to do so as well, because that's how he kind of have contents on his channel instead, right? So we both have we are both pushing out contents at the same time, right? So of course, when the time comes, we will definitely come back together once both of us are free, right? And then we'll do a live stream again together. But that's subjecting to his free time and my free time as well, right? Hopefully that's gonna come soon, and yeah, soon. Let's move on to the next question. Alright, so the last question is by Donovan EEE asking, since we now know all the 10 seal is catered to the demon side of the story, right? Maybe, right? I don't think that part is confirmed, right? We know we're going downwards instead of upwards for the god, 9 seal in that case, right? What do you think the story or the plot is going to be about? Alright, so this is something that I wondered on my own as well, right? What is the storyline gonna be? How is it gonna play out, right? Because remember when we played the 9 seal, when we defeated chaos, right? We are at the hall, like the hall of heaven, right? We're literally at the end of the entire map for the gods' side, for the gods' point of view, right? And then they say, Glauc said that the elemental powers are kind of like unstable, we have to return to the human realm as soon as possible and stuff like that, right? So this means that we're done with the god side, right? So for the demon side, so for now the story plays in a way that the summoners have conquered the god side, and then they're coming back, and then because they kind of like found nothing, right? So they're venturing downwards to the demon side of the story now, right? So what I feel is that when we go down, right, as we fight through the stages, we understand. This is my opinion, by the way. This is not the real plot, right? So if it's true, then I'm a prophet once again. Okay, so basically, what I predict is that as we venture down the storyline for the 10 seal, we will realize that it's kind of like a plot twist, right? Whereas we always thought that gods are the good person and demons are always the bad person, kind of thing. We'll come to realize that actually the demons are the good one and the gods are the bad one, right? Or maybe something like probably the reason why demons attack the Enocean Tower or take advantage of the Enocean Tower in the first place to reach the gods is that they are trying to claim back something that the god have stolen from them, right? So which is why they attack the gods in the first place, right? So maybe that's how the story play out, and then we come to understand that there is a reason in which why the demons attack, make use of the Enocean Tower to attack the gods in the first place, right? Maybe it's to retrieve something that the gods have stolen and stuff like that, right? So, and then after that we have the 10 seal boss, in which I think, or it's not confirmed, right, whether it's the same storyline or not, related to Yog Sothoth, right, which is demon. So, yep. I'm quite excited to see how this entire story plays out as well, right? Definitely will live stream the entire 10 seal, right, this time, instead of just pre-recording the stage for you guys, right? So when the stage is out, I will officially post an announcement to when I will do this entire 10 seal live stream gameplay. Okay, so I'll let you guys know as soon as possible. Alright, so that concludes the month of July's Q&A, right? So very interesting videos out there, right? So videos, did I just say videos? Very interesting questions out there, right? So hopefully I'll receive more of these in this month's Q&A as well, right? So as usual, this as we have come to the end of a month's Q&A. So once again, I'll thank you guys for submitting all your questions, right? Of course, I can't be answering all of them as usual, right? So those of you who still want me to answer some questions, right, do leave it down in August Q&A as well, right? So with that, enjoy. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.